Hi, and welcome to today's segment of Nadya's Identity Files. Very excited to be here broadcasting live from Hollywood and Vine, and on Election Day, no less. I've been counting down for this day in the past several weeks, showing that fond image that you're seeing right now of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump on the screen. I'm not sure if it's on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, but it's up there, and it's been up there for several weeks now in preparation for today's big day. Now, I haven't had an opportunity to check out the numbers and to see where we stand in terms of the election, but I did see a projection earlier. The source is kind of escaping me, but I believe right now we're looking at a 33% chance of Donald Trump winning the election. And I mean, I'm not going to get too deep into my opinion here of who I think should win, but I mean, 33% for Donald Trump. I'm just going to give you a look, and that'll probably say it all. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about identity in the context of the election. I've been seeing quite a few articles examining identity as it relates to this election, and a lot of people are saying that this election is more about our identities collectively than it is about the individual candidates. It's about us, about what we stand for, about what we want, and what we're putting out there. And I think there is a definite fear of losing identity through the casting of a vote for a candidate that we may feel doesn't quite closely enough align with our own identities. So how do we grapple with that? Well, in my opinion, we have collectively come to believe that the binary party system, the right or left, the extremist paradigm of sitting either far to the left or far to the right, is all we have. So we have come to believe that this binary way of existing is forcing us into either one side or the other. But as a nation, as a people, we really have to take responsibility for also perpetuating that through our choices, actions, and discussions. In many ways, our leaders have become these microcosmic islands for us to project our identities onto. Why do you think that is? Well, I think it's because we're having an American identity crisis. I think that individually, in spite of being, and I've mentioned this on a few episodes prior, of seeming to be one of the most individualistic times ever, with the advent of technology and how we showcase ourselves in social media, in many ways, we are becoming amorphous. And in that sense, our collective identity is also amorphous in spite of these extreme sides that we're grappling with. So we are projecting maybe archetypal expectations onto our leaders. And I think that's what we've been doing. If you've noticed throughout the course of this election, in response to the American people and what is being said on social media or in other outlets as well, our candidates have shifted their positions on various issues. These shifts have both been nuanced and apparent. And while we are not in a direct democracy, we are still, and especially in the age of new media, widely responsible for our existing leadership. It is time that we take responsibility for what's going on and not be complacent. You want a change? Be the change. But like anything else, we have to accept the current status quo for what it is, even if we're not happy with it. And I'll be completely frank with you, I'm a very moderate person. I'm not a big fan of the very binary party system that exists today. That's the ubiquitous way of life. I mean, binaries kind of pervade the American space, period, not just with respect to the election. But if we're going to move forward with change, we have to make conscious decisions in how we're going to enact the change we wish to see. And that starts with voting. Disenchanted with the candidates and this binary party system with the Republicans and the Democrats kind of paving the way for the political landscape? Well, I am too, as I just said, but these are the cards we are currently being dealt. I suggest picking a card and remember that we as a people must open up the conversation about holding our leadership accountable. After Obama was elected, especially in 2008, there probably, maybe not right after, but several years following the the support that Obama had felt in the very beginning in the wave of change and at the time of his election dissipated quite rapidly because, and not because he wasn't necessarily being held accountable. I mean, yes and no. I feel that Obama did a lot of great things in office. However, if we ourselves are finding that there is this or that wrong, why not we reach out to our leadership, write letters, hold rallies, have conversations with ourselves and with each other about what's purportedly wrong, rather than lay back and complain and be complacent. Complacency is poison. So it is time to wake up and get out there and be the change you wish to see. And remember that even if, your neighbor is voting for somebody that you completely despise, we are all in this together, you guys. We are all in this together. We are all human beings. We are all wanting to be a catalyst for change. At least I should hope so. So love thyself and love thy neighbor if we are to see any real shifts in the country and the world. And if the chosen leader is anything but we want to see, remember we can come together to demand the actions that we want to see take place. And remember that before we make such demands, we also, again, must be the change we want to see, right? We have to be a responsible and self-aware society. So that said, the guests that I have on today's show, they are actually surprisingly not too happy with the election and with voting. They will get into that for different reasons. But we're also going to be examining identity within the context of the election and the political space at the end. If we have time, which because today is election day and there's a lot going on and we really want to focus on the identity issues in the election sphere, we will try and do our on-air social media consult. It might be a little more brief than usual, but we will try to get to that. So we're going to have first Brad Etter, who is a filmmaker, editor, writer, and beyond multidimensional entertainer who sees identity as dynamic and incapable of being boxed in or pinned down. Thereafter, we'll have Shadalee Brown, a dear friend of mine, an activist, student, writer, and by far one of the most passionate human beings whom I have ever had the privilege of meeting. And again, both of my guests, they do contend that society is kind of imposing certain expectations on us with regard to our identity that we shouldn't have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And again, both are not too fond of voting, but, it's important that we open up this conversation. I am willing to look at everybody's point of view on this issue, but in my opinion, it really is super important to get out and vote. But, being in America, we all have the right to choice and to hold the positions that we have, as long as we can provide substantiating reasons for those positions. So I'll be interviewing them both in just a little bit. We'll be right back.